This is Charlie Kirk on screen. He went to the RNC, the Republican National Convention, decided to talk about Donald Trump's assassination attempt and a variety of other absolutely insane subjects. So I want to listen to what he had to say here. While we listen, we're going to play some Final Fantasy VII Remake. Should just be in the background. Won't bother you too much. You never played before. Let's give this a watch.
President Trump literally was a head tilt away from not being with us right now.
It was close. I got to give him that one.
The security failure, what happened with the Secret Service. We're going to have Eric Prince come on next hour, and we're going to dive deep into that.
Have what?
You're all going to remember where you were that Saturday. I'll tell you, I was walking through my gym, going to go work out, and I was, looking.
Oh, look at him. He works out.
At the rally, Trump takes the stage, typical type of B-roll. And then all of a sudden I said, well, that's weird. Why are a bunch of agents holding up Trump? My initial reaction was that it was what we saw back in 2016 when there was a false alarm, very similar circumstance. A bunch of agents went around Trump. They get him off stage.
I don't think I remember that. 2016?
And then I looked closer, and he has blood. He has blood on his face. I said, well, this is not right. The minutes we knew that Donald Trump was shot, part of his ear was taken out, just a head tilt away from having his brains blown out.
Absolutely true. Oh, my God. That was crazy. I was just sitting there talking to my editor, somebody that helps me with editing, and she's like, hey, Trump got shot. And I was like, what? I looked it up. I couldn't find a thing about it. Couldn't find anything. It's like, are you sure? Where'd you hear that? And she's like, I'm at Food Fair, and I heard like some customer talking about it. It's like, okay, well, that's not very trustworthy. Is this real? It was. It was absolutely real. Am I going the wrong way again? I think I'm going the wrong way again. Yeah, I was. I was going the wrong way again. Oh, my God. How the hell do I get through here? I knew about it 4 minutes after it happened, before the news even wrote about it. It was crazy.
By a would-be assassin, only 120 yards away. Now, I'm not exactly sure the distance here. Just understand, that's about 120 yards from here to the arena. Is that about right, Andrew, would you say?
It's about 100 yards.
Can you talk in the mic? Yeah.
It's about 100 yards.
About 100 yards, right to there. How the Secret Service did not clear that out is...
There's 165 yards or something, but that is a really, really simple shot, to my knowledge. I've never tried it, but from what I understand, that's like the minimum shot that you have to be able to make to like exit boot camp in the military, for example. Like you have to be able to do that at the most basic level. And I think it's kind of interesting that, well, this kid was like 20 years old, so maybe he wasn't very experienced with it. I don't know, but yeah. It's interesting that the Secret Service didn't clear out the area all the way back there. And I truthfully do not believe that it's the woman who leads the Secret Service. I don't believe it's her fault. Well, I guess she resigned. I think it was the people who were like coordinating there. And I think it's super honorable of her to take the heat and say, it's nobody's fault but mine. I'm taking the blame. Nobody else here is to blame. Everyone can just, chill out. That was really honorable of her.
Inexcusable, and we are going to have hearings, and we are going to have investigations immediately for exactly who was responsible and how this was allowed to happen. But first, we need to press pause and reiterate our gratitude to the Almighty. There is no other reasonable explanation.
Oh, please. There's no other reasonable explanation. Maybe the explanation's that the kid was a bad aim. You ever knock that one around the old noggin? There is no other reasonable, and that's a reasonable explanation? Okay.
Explanation here, where Donald Trump's head tilt and just looking to a graph, an immigration graph off to the side, saved his life. Do we have that graphic that we can put up on screen? 74 on screen. And what ensued after was, first of all, the media. CNN said what he...
I understand that there's some like speculation that maybe the bullet was not the thing that hit his ear. Maybe it was teleprompter glass. I don't know. I guess depending on the bullet, it probably would have exploded, right? Like if it was a hollow point, for example, maybe the bullet would have exploded when it hit his ear and just made a mess of everything. If his ear is still intact, I would guess that it was glass from the teleprompter instead. I have no clue. I'm just not informed on this. Wasn't prompter glass. You can see the full prompter intact after 8 shots were fired. Okay. Maybe it was a bullet then. I just don't know. Anyway, Now let's keep listening here.
He fell after there were loud noises. That was CNN's original reporting. Right. We had report after report. They were unwilling to say that it was an assassination attempt.
Yeah, no one wanted to say that because that was like way, way, way premature to say something like that. That is a tall claim. You need to be 100% sure you're correct before you claim that there's an assassination attempt on the president or the presidential candidate, I guess. You can't just say that shit. That's absolutely correct. I find it so interesting that Charlie Kirk is advocating for people just like brazenly just coming out and saying whatever. Really?
This is the closest that a president or former president has come to dying from an assassination attempt since Ronald Reagan in the 1980s.
Yep.
It has been nearly 40 years. And we're going to go into great detail what has actually happened to the Secret Service and how they have lost the trust of the American people after this. But praise God, Donald Trump is alive and well. He is more committed than ever.
I mean, one assassination attempt per 40 years is pretty good. So I think that I think we're looking at this wrong. I think the Secret Service generally does a really, really good job. And it's just like, what do you call it? Is it confirmation bias? I'm not sure what you would call it. But I don't think they're doing a bad job, honestly.
Ever to make this country great and to retire Joe Biden and to win in November. And I want to bring here
at this moment in time, we didn't know that Biden was dropping out and Kamala Harris was stepping in. And honestly, I did a video the other day with Dan Bongino where he was arguing that Joe Biden was going to drop out. And I was so sure Biden was not going to drop out. I would have put money on it. Seriously. It blows me away that Biden dropped out. It didn't age well, the video. I said I'm like 99% sure he's not going to drop out, and here we are. But I felt it's important to upload it anyway, for posterity. I don't want to like hide from my mistakes. I want to make sure that people are aware that I know, that this stuff happens. There's a problem in America or in the world, honestly, and here it is. This is the issue. People are afraid to say, I don't know, or I was wrong. People should say that shit more often.
Noah, can you come up here? So this is Noah Formica. Noah was at the rally.
Formica? His name's Formica? Noah Formica. Okay.
In Butler, Pennsylvania. Noah, you are a Turning Point Action representative for us. By the way, you're the one that registered 1,000 voters, right?
That's right.
So Noah, walk us through what happened. You were just feet away from someone losing their life and almost the assassination of Donald Trump. Walk us through what you saw on Saturday.
Well, I just want to start off to say, we start off the day very normal. So made a tweet saying it's going to be a very eventful day here at the Trump rally. Well, little did I know what was going to actually transpire. So it was, near 8 minutes as Trump was getting into his speech. A lot of our team was already in there. I was, right in there as well, watching from the very back of the crowd. And all of a sudden, we started to hear these shots pop off. And a lot of our volunteers are like, oh, it's fireworks. And then, all of a sudden we started seeing people running. And then we were like, what the heck is going on? And then
there were all kinds of people saying all kinds of things. Trump was shot. He's dead. There were 2 shooters. Like, nobody knew what was happening. There was just complete bedlam.
People were screaming.
For Owen's integrity, Biden dropout. I appreciate that, Paisley Jane. Yeah, I don't want to hide anything or whatever. I want to be 100% honest about it. We really need people we need more people in the U.S. saying, I don't know or I was wrong.
And Trump got shot. And I saw a few Gen Z kids starting to cry and tear up, bawl. And then people said, never surrender.
Ball. They were balling.
I mean, it's still shaking me up right now. And
So Noah, I want to just first, what was so striking to me is how calm the crowd was.
They were screaming, like what? They were hiding and ducking, which I would be too. That's the smart decision. Duck, hide. Why do people act like everybody is just like a hard ass when they don't even need to be hard asses? Like, this is a scary situation.
Crowd didn't rush and panic. People sometimes die if they say you can't say fire in a crowded theater. That how calm the crowd was. How do we explain that? Donald Trump got shot. Another man lost his life. His name.
The crowd was not calm. What the fuck is he talking about right now? I don't know if it's confirmed, but most likely Joe was just waiting for the RNC to end so they could keep attacking him during the RNC and research him and pick Vance and screw themselves, then say he's driving. Yeah, that could be. To my knowledge, though, people didn't know that Joe Biden was planning to drop out. I don't know. I'm not sure. It wouldn't surprise me. It was an opportune moment strategically, so it wouldn't surprise me if they did pick that moment. But anyway.
Can you get his full name, please? I don't want to missay it. By the way, we should support his GoFundMe. And 2 other people were hospitalized, and the crowd just remained still. It's remarkable.
Yeah, it was utter shock.
Yeah, I don't know what the he's talking about right now. The crowd is not still.
I mean, a lot of people were in panic and like disbelief that it actually happened. I mean, I was in disbelief too. Like, I was frozen. I didn't know what was going on. And, you know, watching it all unfold, watching the Secret Service, the state police tear down the barricades, start to rush in there and, you know, try to get to the bottom of this thing. But, like, we had people, like, pointing somewhere, looking around, like, saying, hey, there's something going on, like, right before Trump got shot. Like, they're saying 3 minutes they knew something was going down.
So for 3 minutes, everyday Trump supporters were trying to warn the police and Secret Service, and they did nothing.
Yes, that is correct.
I'm sorry, one more time? What was that?
But, like, we had people, like, pointing somewhere, looking around, like, saying, hey, there's something going on, like, right before Trump got shot. Like, they're saying 3 minutes they knew something was going down.
Yeah, people did know ahead of time, to my knowledge.
So for 3 minutes, everyday Trump supporters were trying to warn the police and Secret Service, and they did nothing.
Maybe longer than that. And I think people were doing stuff, but the Secret Service wasn't really paying close attention. Not as close as they should have been.
Yes, that is correct.
We're gonna examine that with Eric Prince, right, next hour, because that's not what I want to get into right now. So you're okay. The man's life who was shot and killed is Corey Comparatore. That is not an easy one to say. Comparatore, yes. Who lost his life by this would-be assassin. Noah, you are in the grassroots registering voters every single day. Having seen and witnessed a almost assassination of Donald Trump, which, by the way, you saw history there. I mean, that is the first time that a shooter was able to get even close to a president or former president in 40 years. The Secret Service has been bragging to us about how great they are, about
they have? This is where I got cut off last time. They have? They've been bragging about this? I don't remember ever hearing the Secret Service brag about how competent they are. Okay.
How exceptional they are. This was a humiliation of the United States government, of our country, and only by the grace of God is Donald Trump alive and well. Does this convict you to want to work harder and to register more voters? What is your attitude now after this?
My attitude after this, and I will tell you, starting the day, and I would love to talk to this person again. So I got wearing a Trump hat, Trump shirt. Like, are you registered to vote? He's like, nope, I don't care to vote. I love
So he
Trump.
shows up at a rally and he's not registered to vote.
Yes, you get a lot of that when you go to Trump rallies. Went to Schnecksville, Philly, Wildwood, this rally. So many people just do not vote. And I would love to talk to these people who aren't voting now and say, hey, would you like to vote now? Look what's going on with our country. I mean, never surrender. I mean, this emboldens me to do more for my country. I mean, those 1,000 voter registrations, I want to get 1,500.
You know, there's a rally the flag effect when disasters happen. Like George Bush had this big rally the flag thing where after 9/11, his approval rating was like 92% or something, like higher than anybody, maybe any president ever, possibly. I don't know. It was really, really, really high. That's what happens. And everyone expected a rally around the flag effect here with Trump and the assassination and everything, but that didn't happen. In fact, as far as we can tell, he got a polling drop after the assassination attempt, fascinatingly. And what that tells me is Donald Trump, the people that would vote for him, they are locked in. He's not gaining or losing anybody new, pretty much. Like, this is it, which is good. You know, that's a good thing. He's not going to build more numbers, basically, no matter what happens, because everybody recognizes him as the scumbag that he is, and that's just it. That's it. I'm hoping that's what we can glean from this.
After that, I want to get 2,000. I want to keep climbing because every single registration is going to save this country.
So I have 2 takeaways. Number one, you assume that everyone going to a Trump rally is a registered voter. That is not correct. And that's why what we're doing at Turning Point Action is so important. And Noah, you're a hero. But number two, we are not asking you to take a bullet. We're asking you to fill in a ballot. Donald Trump took the bullet for you. We are asking you to fill in a piece of paper and to put it into the mail. And these people say, oh, I don't vote. I don't.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What's all this? We're doing mail-in ballots now? I thought there's no chain of custody or whatever other BS he wanted to lay down. Suddenly, mail-in ballots are okay. Interesting. You know, mail-in ballots were always okay. You should be able to print off a ballot online and fill it out and send it in. And you should not need an ID for that either. You should need an ID to register. You should put your signature down on paper, and your signature should match what it was when you registered. Your address, your full name, your everything, it should all match. But you should be able to mail in a ballot you print off online. I don't see what's wrong with that. Also, it is the stupidest thing maybe I've ever heard for people like, say, Mike Lindell, for example, to say we should not use machines to count ballots or we should be hand counting everything. Are you kidding me? How do you think we cross-reference databases to see if undocumented people are voting? How do you think that happens? Do you think that there's somebody with a big list in a book of undocumented immigrants and they're checking it against a list of people who voted? You think that they're doing that shit by hand? No. We have databases for this stuff. It takes us literally 30 seconds or less, 10 seconds, to cross-reference databases with like SQL Server or MySQL or something. And it's literally not possible with a country of 325 million, a voter base of like 150 million, to do that by hand. It's not possible. We shouldn't be doing this by hand. We should be using electronic systems to make it more accurate, to make it more trustworthy. Anyway, these people are very clearly, transparently, as hypocritical as it gets. He says you should be mailing in your ballots, but when the election happens, he's going to complain about mail-in ballots.
I think that is a ridiculous response, but I think that attitude is going to start to change, don't you?
Yes.
And this is an opportunity for us to work harder, to unite the country, and that is Donald Trump's message. And also remind everybody that we are living under a Biden regime that has done such damage and destruction.
A regime. Give me a break.
Destruction to this country. And Andrew, do you have a question quickly for Noah here before we cut to break?
No, I mean, no. You lived through history. I think Charlie said it well. I mean, what is your message to the rest of your Gen Z counterparts across the...
What, he's Gen Z? How is he Gen Z? He seems older than Gen Z. Okay. I thought Gen Z is like 16 years old now, the maximum.
The country that are not engaged right now after what you just saw. Put it in the plainest terms you can.
Get involved. This is your future we're fighting for. And I mean, if you want to have a future, if you want to have a house, you want to have lower gas prices, food prices, want to have a family, you need to vote. You need to...
You know, Americans complain about gas prices. Our gas prices are through the floor, in all seriousness. Look at gas prices anywhere else in the world, except for Iran. Iran, you know, they're kind of locked in. They don't have the ability to like sell their oil or whatever because of sanctions. So they provide free energy, free gas, practically. It's I think it's like, I don't know, 75 cents or $1 per gallon or something, or the equivalent. They count in liters. Aside from Iran, the U.S.'s gas prices are so cheap. Maybe the lowest in the world outside of Iran or Venezuela, maybe. But I don't know. I don't live there. Someone can tell me if that's correct. Nope, Gen Z here, 26 years old. Cutoff was like right before 98 when I was born. Oh my God, dude. I feel so old. Really, the cutoff was 1998. Interesting. 10 years after I was born. I guess I'm a late millennial because I wasn't coming to adulthood around the turn of the century or the turn of the millennium. I was still a child. I was like 10 or something at the turn of the millennium. I don't even remember like the year 2000 celebrations. So 97. All right. I guess I'm pretty close then.
To get out there and vote for Donald Trump.
Do you believe being there and witnessing it and reflecting that it was a spiritual moment, what happened there?
A spiritual moment watching somebody get shot.
I do. And, you know, I think it was a shot heard around the world moment.
Oh, my God.
I think people are going to come out and vote in droves for Donald Trump. I think people of faith are going to turn out big this cycle.
So this happened, I think, like this video was filmed like 4 days after the assassination attempt or something like that. Now we know that the assassination attempt didn't really help Trump to the degree that they thought that it would. But it is so painfully stupid to sit here and listen to them like talk about how persecuted Trump is and how he's a hero for getting shot and all that shit. Come on.
Noah, God bless you, man. You got to get to 1,500 registered voters, okay?
I'm going to do it.
All right, Noah, God bless you, man. We're glad you're okay.
Didn't he already say God bless you?
And glad that all the Turning Point Action staff is okay.
Thank you for having me.
I want to tell you guys about one of our partners here before we get to...
Yeah, he's just kind of wandering. Do you see that? Watch. He doesn't know what he's supposed to do. Am I just supposed to like back out of frame or?
I'm going to do it.
All right, Noah, God bless you, man. We're glad you're okay and glad that all the Turning Point Action staff is okay.
Thank you for having me.
I want to tell you guys about one of our partners here before we...
He's just looking. That's funny.
Get to break. Let me see here. I believe we have...
PhD weight loss.
My PhD weight loss. I want to tell you guys about... Are you ready to lose weight?
Oh, my God. He's got a stupid sponsor. My PhD weight loss, huh? Okay.
But not sure where to start. I understand. I was right where you were 2 years ago. Let me...
You were? You're trying to lose weight 2 years ago?
Tell you why I chose my PhD weight loss and nutrition. First, Dr. Ashley Lucas has her PhD in chronic disease and sports nutrition. The PhD program starts with nutrition. Andrew, I've lost a lot of weight, haven't I?
You've lost...
Is this mic on, by the way? Yeah.
Maybe too much, Chuck.
You know what it seems to me? Look, this is what it seems like to me. This is what this reminds me of right here. Before and 45 days later, it's the same picture. In fact, Alex Jones, 45 days later, might be even heavier than he was previously. This is Alex Jones trying to shill his diet pills or whatever. This is what it reminds me of, what Charlie Kirk is saying here. Such a joke, man. But yeah, totally. Losing weight, Charlie. Good job.
Charlie. Too much weight?
30 pounds, 35 pounds?
It's almost 40 pounds.
Your collars of your shirt do not fit.
Yeah, this is a big problem. We had a suit crisis the other day because my suit wasn't fitting. Go to myphdweightloss.com, go or online.
Oh, my God, dude.
At myphdweightloss.com. Do what I did and hundreds of my listeners have done and call today, 864-644-1900.
So stupid. I love listening to their ridiculous BS advertisements.
Go to myphdweightloss.com. That is myphdweightloss.com. So check it out right now. myphdweightloss.com. I'm not getting any...
Can you say that one more time? What was it?
cues, so I have no idea what's going on with timing. So email us freedom@charliekirk.com and subscribe to our podcast.
You know why he says it so many times? My freedom, weight loss, whatever, PhD, whatever the f it was. He says it because if you say something 3 times, people remember it better. It's a psychological technique you're supposed to do with ads.
Open up your podcast application and type in Charlie Kirk Show. We are here live at...
See, he repeated his email address, too.
The RNC in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're going to be streaming for a couple hours this morning, and also we'll be back tonight. I'll also be giving a speech tonight, and just say prayers to the Lord Almighty. It was just centimeters.
You know, not for nothing, it seems to me that prayers to the Lord Almighty might be why Donald Trump is not the president anymore. Did he ever knock that one around? You ever consider that? Maybe the Lord Almighty's will was fulfilled, and that's why Joe Biden is the president now. Couldn't be that, right? Couldn't be.
From killing Donald Trump. Centimeters. Praise God that he is alive and well. Okay, email us freedom@charliekirk.com. We'll be right back.
Do you catch that? He did it again. He always repeats things 3 times. Again, sales technique. All right, let's skip forward, see what else he's got going on. We're going to skip past his stupid advertisements.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. We are here live at the RNC in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm wearing my shirt. You know the response to the assassination attempt against President Trump? Go find new voters. Wear the MAGA hat. Go out in your community. Register new voters. Also, you guys, if you want to make a difference, go to tpaction.com. We will put you to work. I want to throw to the great Ben Berquam, who is with some amazing patriots on the ground here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right near our Turning Point Action headquarters. Ben, what are you hearing? What are you seeing from the great patriots here on the ground?
Hey, Charlie, I just switched hats, so I'm wearing my Real America's Voice hat, but this is MAGA. This RNC is MAGA. We got Milwaukee here. I want to start over here with this young man, the chair of the Milwaukee County.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for coming out to the RNC here in Milwaukee. Good to see you again, Charlie. We're just awesome to see Turning Point Action out here having a
We are awesome to see that.
prime spot here at the RNC, and we're excited to welcome every single delegation here to Milwaukee. I hope all the delegations are enjoying their time, and we're going to get out there and we're going to work our asses off for President Trump.
That's it. Now, who here is MAGA? Let me hear you guys. All right, so no
Unfortunately, Trump does control the Republican Party right now, I think.
rhinos in the house. No rhinos. No rhinos allowed at this convention. Okay.
Oh, so you're not a Republican if you are not in Trump's favor. That's what that means.
Now, we also have someone very important here. The president, what is your official title?
The president of the Charlie Kirk fan club.
Oh, the Charlie Kirk fan club. I love that.
I will follow Charlie to the end of the earth. I am his designated Jewish mother because why not? Everyone can use Jewish mother. And
They could? Okay.
Charlie is our fearless leader, and America is a much
Wait, I thought Trump was their fearless leader.
safer, greater, more wonderful place because of Charlie Kirk. God bless Charlie Kirk.
Yep. Amen. 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 They love you. And by the way, Charlie, everywhere I went in Europe, in England, I would say I'm with Real America's Voice News. And then they'd kind of look at me and I'd say, you know, Charlie Kirk, they all knew Charlie Kirk over there in Europe too. All right. Who here are delegates? Let me see that. Delegate. Where are you from?
North Carolina.
North Carolina?
Missouri.
Missouri. Let me get over here.
North Dakota.
North Dakota. We got an alternate here.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. We got
Florida, yes, sir.
Florida, all right.
Wisconsin.
And let me see that. All Trump. All MAGA. All MAGA. All MAGA. Charlie, this is it. And right here, we got law enforcement, supporting law enforcement.
Hi, Melissa Roby from We Back Blue. What's up, everybody? We're so excited to be here. There's so many members of law enforcement here protecting these people, and
She's a fluent public speaker. It's a skill that has to be learned. It's hard,
I'm
actually.
so proud of them. Thank you.
Amen. And we are thankful for President Trump and for God's hand and for the angels that were on him. Just an incredible thing. God's hand.
Oh, my God.
And it's on President Trump. But as you said, Charlie, it is time for everyone in this country who loves this country to stand up with boldness, to stand now for such a time as this. It's an honor to do it. These folks are doing it. Now it's time for you to do it as well.
Congressional District 13, vote for Brad Knott for Congress. We're going to flip that red.
Okay, one more thing.
I want to say thank you to Turning Point for a fantastic prayer vigil yesterday in the park across from our hotel. And great pastor speaking and standing up boldly.
Amen. Charlie?
A prayer vigil?
Ben, you're doing a great job. We'll throw back to you in a second here. So coming up next, we have Speaker Newt Gingrich. Again, we have
God, Newt Gingrich is awful.
not lived through an assassination attempt similar to what we saw on Saturday since Ronald Reagan. The Secret Service then had relaxed protocols, and then they went through a massive change saying
They relaxed protocols. No, they didn't.
we'll never allow that to happen again. We saw the slipping of the Secret Service in recent years, from with Kamala Harris to not sweeping buildings to
Kamala Harris. Notice how he like mispronounces her name, Kamala Harris. It's Kamala Harris. Why does he say that?
diversity, equity, inclusion being prioritized in the United States Secret Service. And
That's disgusting, dude. What is wrong with these people, honestly?
And this is a moment we need to pause, have gratitude, but also say, why is this acceptable in the greatest country ever, where the leader of the opposition movement and a former president nearly has his head taken off when someone is 120, 130 yards away?
There's 160. I mean, it's still bad, but still.
Literally as far from here to the arena, 120, 130 yards away, completely unacceptable. Not exactly sure what's happening with the timing here, guys. Email us, as always, freedom@charliekirk.com, and subscribe to our podcast.
You're once again saying it 3 times.
That the proper course of action, of course, is to stay calm, stay peaceful, and credit to this entire movement. Credit to so many of you, where the media has been saying, oh, we're really worried about right-wing political violence. We're really worried about right-wing domestic terrorism. What you saw this last weekend was the opposite of that. You saw Donald Trump put his life on the line and literally take a bullet for you.
Okay.
They impeached him. They indicted him. They convicted him. They shot him. And he is stronger.
Who is they?
Stronger than ever before.
You hear what he's doing here, right? He's conflating all of those events together. He's saying that all the same people did all the same stuff to him. Like, the people who impeached him also shot him or orchestrated this assassination attempt. Like, it's just nonsense. And you know what? Since you're talking about it, let me just pull something up real quick for you.
One trick that Kamala Harris missed in her speech, it was not a bad speech at all. But one thing she didn't do, she didn't allude to the assassination attempt on Trump. And it's only been 9 days since someone tried to murder Donald Trump and actually shot him in the ear, killing him by a quarter of an inch. Would it not have been a smart move in between calling him, you know, a sexual predator and a con man and a fake and blah, 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 very ad hominem stuff? Would it not have been a smart move in terms of unity had she just taken a moment to acknowledge the assassination attempt and say how pleased she was that he survived it? Something of that.
Well, she didn't address it at all, did she? Like, why is she like required to talk about Donald Trump?
Nature.
Piers, I find it so bizarre that the onus is always on the Democrats, is always on the adults in the room to create unity. Where was everybody for the last 6 years calling for unity when Donald Trump was president? And, you know, as far as the violence is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. This is important. Seriously. In the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump did so bad, it was embarrassing. It was terrible. He was like, that might have been like the worst debate performance in presidential history or whatever, how Donald Trump did, aside from other Donald Trump performances. But the standard is through the floor for Donald Trump. Everybody expects him to do really, really bad in his debate. Everyone knows he's going to be a total scumbag and bring up shit that, you know, has nothing to do with anything and make fun of people and yell and talk over people. Everyone expects that. So the point is that Joe Biden had to be the adult in the room in that debate. Democrats always have to be the adult in the room every single time. Brian Tyler Cohen here is aptly pointing out Democrats should not be held to a different standard. I get that, like, Donald Trump is, like, the expectations are through the floor for him, but Biden, it shouldn't all be on Biden here or on Democrats.
When Donald Trump was president. And, you know, as far as the violence is concerned, I feel like any effort to try to pin, again, the onus on Democrats in terms of lowering the temperature in this country is just a testament to the fact that the Republicans are graded on the curve. Remember, it was not the Democrats.
Couldn't say it better. They're graded on a curve. Republicans are graded on a curve. They're given the benefit of the doubt. Everyone assumes Republicans are f***ing useless idiots. Democrats are expected to be better. And they should be. But people need to realize that Republicans are worthless idiots. I mean, the Republican, like, politicians, the leadership, the Donald Trumps, for example, they're useless idiots.
While we're talking about political violence, it wasn't the Democrats who laughed at Paul Pelosi being bludgeoned with a hammer. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't.
That's important.
Democrats who called for military tribunals for Liz Cheney. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who laughed at a kidnapping plot against Gretchen Whitmer. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who called for General Mark Milley to be executed. That was Donald Trump.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just Trump. It was all of his deplorable little scumbags. And here's just one example of, you know, what we're talking about here. Look, Donald Trump Jr.'s reaction to Paul Pelosi's attack shows exactly how low we have sunk. The attack on Paul Pelosi was terrifying. A man broke into the house of the 82-year-old husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in the middle of the night and hit him with a hammer. Paul Pelosi suffered a fractured skull, among other injuries. The intruder shouted, "Where's Nancy?" Trump Jr. appears to think it's funny. Late Sunday night, Trump Jr. shared an image on social media of a hammer and a pair of underwear with the words, "Got my Paul Pelosi Halloween costume ready." Trump Jr. wrote, "The internet remains undefeated." The point is that these people never cared about assassination attempts or the temperature in the room or whatever. Never cared about that stuff. They cared about destroying Democrats at any cost and protecting Republicans at any cost. They're graded on a curve.
Wasn't Democrats who posted a baseball bat photo with Alvin Bragg and threatened death and destruction if he was charged. So in all of these examples, Piers, it is not the Democrats who've done this. It's not the Democrats who've validated the use of political violence as a tool in this country. And it shouldn't be on the Democrats all of a sudden to be the adults in the room.
All right, Brian.
Right. It's Republicans that need to call for unity, not Democrats. It's not everybody else. It's the people who are destroying unity. The people who are preventing it from ever happening. Those are the ones that have to fix it. It's not on me. I haven't been calling for the death of people. I don't wish death on anybody. When Donald Trump got sick with COVID, I hoped for his healthy recovery. When he was shot by an assassin, I hoped that he would recover and he'd be okay. It's not on me to fix these problems. It's on it's on Republicans. It's on them. They need to fix this.
To a point, Lord Copper, as we would say in the UK, right? It is the Democrats who for 8 years have screamed that he's Adolf Hitler.
Okay. Well, Donald Trump has done things exactly like Adolf Hitler. But I don't know which Democrats he's talking about that say he is Adolf Hitler. I thought that that was like a meme that Republicans say he's not Adolf Hitler. I've compared him and his actions to things that happened under Nazi Germany, certainly, a lot, because he does a lot of shit like Hitler did. But I don't scream he's Adolf Hitler. He's going to kill you if you don't kill him first or whatever. He's like, we're not just saying he deserves to die because he's Adolf Hitler. I'm saying the things he's doing are exactly the same as the things that Hitler did. And we need to reverse course on this. At no point ever was there like an implication of violence anywhere in that statement.
That's fairly violent rhetoric. You're comparing.
No, it's not. It's not. Saying he needs to die because he's like Hitler would be violent rhetoric.
Him directly to absolute genocidal maniac who murdered 12 million people, including 6 million Jews in a Holocaust. So
yeah, they're saying what they believe Donald Trump is capable of. Has nothing to do with what should happen to Donald Trump.
When you do that, that is violent rhetoric.
No.
Piers, if Donald Trump acts like a fascist, it is not the Democrats' fault for calling him a fascist.
You're saying he is,
that is his
Hitler? He is Hitler.
He is not Hitler. He is acting like Hitler. Yes, he is acting like Hitler. Has been this whole time. Of course. Dude, you know, Trump's ex-wife, Ivana, is Ivanka's mom, I think, before she died and got buried on his golf course, she claimed that he kept a book of Hitler's speeches next to his bed. Now, I don't know if that's true, and honestly, the most surprising part about that is the idea that Donald Trump reads at all. But the similarities in the speeches, in Trump's speeches versus Hitler's speeches, are uncanny. And it is the thing that brings me to believe that he really does, or did, have a copy of his speeches. If the similarities were not there, I wouldn't be so convinced of it. But it's seriously weird. Like, all right, just listen to this AI reconstruction of one of Hitler's speeches just for a second, okay? And see if you can pick out similarities.
Weit für richtig hältst, ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin. In connection with the Jewish question, I have this to say. It is a shameful spectacle to see how the whole democratic world is oozing sympathy for the poor, tormented Jewish people.
So the Jews at the time were immigrants, or they were viewed as immigrants. They'd lived there for like ever. But it's a lot like how people talk about like undocumented immigrants or illegal immigrants or whatever in the United States today. So when they say the poor Jewish people, imagine they're talking about the poor undocumented immigrants.
But remains hard-hearted and obdurate when it comes to helping them, which is surely, in view of its attitude, an obvious duty. The arguments that are brought up as an excuse for not helping them actually speak for us Germans and Italians. For this is what they say. One.
So he was complaining that nobody would take Jews who he was trying to deport at the time. This is before Hitler basically closed the doors and locked the Jews into the country and stopped accepting their visas or whatever to leave. That's when shit really started getting bad.
We, that is the democracies, are not in a position to take in the Jews. Yet in these empires there are not 10 people to the square kilometer, while Germany, with her 135 inhabitants to the square kilometer, is supposed to have room for them. 2, they assure us we cannot take them unless Germany is prepared to allow them a certain amount of capital to bring with them as immigrants. For hundreds
I mean, you're hearing all the complaining he's doing about immigration.
of years, Germany was good enough to receive these elements, although they possessed nothing except infectious political and physical diseases. What they possess today, they have by a very large extent gained at the cost of the less astute German nation by the most reprehensible manipulations. Today, we are merely paying this people what it deserves. When the German nation was, thanks to the inflation instigated and carried through by Jews, deprived of the entire savings which it had accumulated in years of honest work.
So this was him complaining that immigrants were stealing jobs and money, and the elites were controlling everything. It was populism. It's exactly what Trump does, exactly what he says. It is actually the exact same style of rhetoric, populism.
When the rest of the world took away the German nation's foreign investments, when we were divested of the whole of our colonial possessions.
Talking about the punishments for starting World War I, Treaty of Versailles demands.
These philanthropic considerations evidently carried little noticeable weight with democratic statesmen. Today I can only assure these gentlemen that thanks to the brutal education with which the democracies favored us for 15 years, we are completely hardened to all attacks of sentiment.
So nobody's thinking about how we are treated or how our country is doing. They don't seem to care. So we have to put ourselves first. We have to think about our own interests and get rid of these immigrants, kick them out of the country. We don't want them here. They're a drain on society. That's basically what he's saying.
After more than 800,000 children of the nation had died of hunger and undernourishment at the close of the war, we witnessed almost 1 million head of milking cows being driven away from us in accordance with the cruel paragraphs of a dictate which the humane democratic apostles of the world forced upon us.
Talking about the Treaty of Versailles, the World War I agreement. He had to pay Germany had to pay reparations, like war reparations, for the damage they did.
As a peace treaty, we witnessed over 1 million German prisoners of war being retained in confinement for no reason at all for a whole year after the war was ended. We witnessed over 1.5 million Germans being torn away from all that they possessed in the territories lying on our frontiers and being whipped out with practically only what they wore on their backs.
That's funny. So Germans took land that they were not entitled to, and when other countries took it back and gave it to whom it actually belonged, Hitler is now complaining that the people were like pushed out of it and not allowed access. Like, really? You didn't have a right to be there in the first place. Anyway, the point is that there are other examples of Hitler sounding a lot like Donald Trump, like a crazy amount. But let me just skip forward a little here.
Management and care will be entrusted to members of our own nation. If the rest of the world cries out with a hypocritical mien against this barbaric expulsion from Germany of such an irreplaceable and culturally eminently valuable element, we can only be astonished at the conclusions they draw from this situation.
So if people complain that these immigrants are being treated unfairly, we can only conclude that they're being dishonest because they don't want to take them and protect them.
But how thankful they must be that we are releasing these precious apostles of culture and placing them at the disposal of the rest of the world. In accordance with their own declarations, they cannot find a single reason to excuse themselves for refusing to receive this most valuable race in their own countries, nor can I see a reason why the members of this race should be imposed upon the German nation, while in the states, which are so enthusiastic about these splendid people, their settlement should suddenly be refused with every imaginable excuse. I think that the sooner this problem is solved, the better, for Europe cannot settle down until the Jewish question is cleared up.
The Jewish question was his polite way of saying how we deal with immigration in Germany. And it sounded fine. Like, it's a question that needs to be resolved in society. Like, the immigration question. How do we resolve immigration in the United States? There's nothing like abrasive or bad about that, right? That's the idea. That's what he meant when he said Jewish question, the immigration question. The solution, though, that he had was to kill all of them, ultimately.
It may very well be possible that sooner or later an agreement on this problem may be reached in Europe. even between those nations which otherwise do not so easily come together. The world has sufficient space for settlements.
So at this point, he's still trying to, like, just get them out of the country. Or if he wasn't trying to get them out of the country, he's at least, like, using that for propaganda value, that others didn't want them in their country either. So anyway, the point is that, like, a lot of the things that Trump says are very similar to Hitler. As a matter of fact, he quotes Hitler word for word, Donald Trump does. Just a couple of examples here. Literal word for word quote from Hitler that Donald Trump is going to give.
You could go to a banana republic and pick the worst one, and you're not going to see what we're
the worst banana
witnessing now. No control whatsoever. Nobody has any idea where these people are coming from, and we know they come from.
Talking about immigrants.
Prisons. We know they come from mental institutions, insane asylums. We know they're terrorists. Nobody has ever seen anything like we're witnessing right now. It is a very sad thing for our country. It's poisoning the blood of our...
Direct quote from Hitler. Exact, direct quote. Poisoning the blood of our country. Here's another one. Let me give you one more. Like, those are the words that Hitler used. Poisoning the blood of our country. Here's another quote.
That we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, that lie and steal and cheat on elections.
Exact quote. Live like vermin. That vermin thing is the quote that I'm referring to. And also, communists and leftists and Marxists, those were all things that Hitler complained about. Donald Trump quotes Hitler word for word. That's what I'm saying. And those are just two examples. The rhetoric style, the words that he says, everything is all mirrored by Hitler. So no, it's not unfair to say that Donald Trump is like Hitler. Not in that he is literally murdering millions of people right now as we speak, or that he deserves to die. No one ever implied that. It's in rhetoric style and plans.
That's fault for calling him a fascist.
You're saying he is,
that is
he
his
is Hitler? He is Hitler?
No, absolutely not. But I'm saying
he is like Hitler.
Does act like a fascist. He does want to consolidate power in the executive branch. He does want to send the military into American cities. He does want to.
So you have no problem comparing him to Adolf Hitler?
No, he is like Hitler. Are you fucking kidding me? Do you got gummy bears in your ears? What's happening?
I am calling him a fascist. That's what I'm doing. That was me on Piers Morgan's show, where I took on him and Tommy Lahren on this tired right-wing talking point that suddenly...
Yeah, anyway, he goes on with his whole thing. But the point is that Piers Morgan is trying to make it, like, ridiculous and absurd. And you're calling him Hitler when he's literally not Hitler. He's literally Donald Trump. Like, they're two different people. Yeah, no fucking shit. Obviously, they're two different people. They have similar rhetoric styles. They use similar verbiage, similar language. They hate similar groups of people for similar reasons, and they're a danger to society in the exact same way. They're nearly identical in the way that they operate. Nobody is saying they're literally the exact same person. Like Hitler was like reincarnated or some shit. Like no one is saying that. My God. Sometimes Piers Morgan is like, okay. You know, sometimes the things that he says are reasonably well thought out, can be kind of intelligent to some degree. Sometimes they're dumb as dog shit, the things that he says on occasion. Like embarrassingly fucking stupid. And I believe that this is one of those examples. Anyway, tell what you think about it in the comments. These people are shameless. They're shameless. They don't seem to care about anything. Democrats are not to blame for this stuff, okay? Republicans need to fix problems. They need to correct the unity issue that they created. Like Republican politicians who I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comments. It's just absurd.